All right, thank you. The battle has not yet started, and when we actually get in the battle, we're gonna skip some of the battle. So, I think we're on number,
199.
yeah, number 199.
I can read it.
No, that's like. I can read
All right, so, yeah, you can start on 199. We've kind of looking at the Saracen perspective. Valiant is really upset. It shows the softer side of the Emir, and he's upset, and he really wants to kill Charlemagne, so he's all fired up. Charlemagne doesn't know they're coming yet, so, Freddie, you can read
So,
that.
isn't this fight that like, Valiant came to help Marsilian, but Marsilian's gonna fight Charlemagne? Is that right?
Now, Marsilian's fighting days are over. He doesn't have but one hand now, so
But Valiant's gonna fight Charlemagne.
he wants to kill him. He wants to get rid of him.
Alright, the messengers upon their horses get forth to the city fast as they made their terms. To the near they come in much distress. Of Saragossa the keys to him present. Quoth Valiant, what news have you to tell? Where is the king, Marcel, for whom I sent? Clarion answers, he is wounded to death. Yesterday Charles towards the passes went, to make return defense was his intent. And in his rear noble guard he said, the tiny Roland, his nephew, there he left, and Oliver and all the peers at all 12. With them in arms were 20,000 French. The valiant King Marcel upon the foe, and in the field he and the Count Roland met. That such a blow by Durandal was dealt, Marcel's right hand was from the body cleft. Also his son, whom we all loved, is dead, and slain Earl of the barons whom he led. Endure he could not, but from the battle fled. Carlin persuaded him for many a long stretch. Now the king prays that ye will bring him help, and unto you bequeaths the Spanish realm. Now Valiant must need bethink himself of rage and griefs he's on his own head.
So he's really excited about this, kind of passionate about this, angry. And if you'll notice the rapprochement in all this, there's a lot of repetition. So, Natalie, we can go to you.
It's 200, right?
Yes.
My lord and your quote, Claren again, and rendezvous the battle yesterday. Roland is dead, Count Oliver is slain, and the 12 peers beloved of Charlemagne. Now 20,000 of the French lie dead on the plain. Clean from his body is stripped, Marcel's right hand is raised. Right furiously the emperor pressed the chase. There is not a knight in this whole and all this land remains, but he has been killed or drowned in a fever's way. Upon the bank the French their camp have made. If you strike now, they lie so near this place, but they will find it full hard to get away. Valiant ear hears, right haughty is his face, and in his heart joyous he is again. Up from his throne he stands full straight, he cries aloud, some barons move away. Out of the ships to force and ride in haste, unless by fight will Charlemagne escape. The King Marcel shall be avenged this day, and head for hand I'll give him in exchange.
So their strategy is we better get him now. We better attack him now, because he'll get away. Charlemagne is not the kind of guy that would run from a fight. So I don't know. They got him all wrong there. Brian.
Can we go over to question 69?
Yeah, read it.
How are the concepts of vengeance and word deal evident in the last 1800?
Okay.
I don't know what word deal is.
Yeah. Well, I've never really used that term, but it's the man price. I think I've used that term. It means man price. It's eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. It's you get one of our guys, we have to get you. That's why Charlemagne wanted Marsilian's uncle, because Marsilian had killed Basile and Bessin, and so to get even, to make it even, he wanted the uncle of Marsilian. And so now is basically what is his motivation, Balaguer's motivation to fight Charlemagne? What's his primary motivation?
Is it because, Charlemagne cut the right hand off of Marcellus?
So it's revenge. It's revenge. It's that man price. You really killed Marcillian. Marcillian's gonna be dead soon. And so we gotta kill somebody. You see how this could go on forever. They kill Roland, so French have to kill one of theirs. And after they kill one of theirs, Marcillian, they have to kill one of theirs. I mean, it never ends. Somebody's gonna have to either get completely wiped out or say it's over, you win. How about Kimber? Oh, Ryan, sorry.
Out of the ships, the Arab paynims moved. Straight away they mounted their horses and their mules, and forth they rode. What better could they do? Then the emir, who stirred his warlike brew, summoned
Gamalthan.
a minion of his crew, saying, I give thee command of all my troops. Then mounts his steed, whose coat is brown of hue, and his escort he takes with him 4 dukes. To Saragossa his journey he pursued, and on a terrace lit down of marble hewn, to hold his stirrup 4 counts together stoop. He climbs the steps under the palace roof. There Bramamonda comes running him unto. She cries to him, Woe is me, the dreadful news, my lord is dying, a shameful death undue. She falls before him, he lifts her up anew, into the chamber they come in a doleful mood.
So I'm a little bit ahead of the thing. I was saying that we saw the softer side of the emir. Well, that's now. We're gonna see the emir has the heart. And so that's what Kimber is gonna read here. He actually sees the dying Marcillian, and he shows some emotion about that.
When King Marcel sees the emir come in, at once he summons 2 Spanish Saracens. Lend me your arms, raise me that I may sit. In his left hand one of his gloves he grips. Then saith Marcel, My lord emir and king, see, this whole country into your hand I give, and Saragossa and all its fiefs herewith. Myself I've lost, my people and my kin. And he replies, I'm deeply grieved for this. I must not stay a long time parleying. Charles will get moving, right well I know he will. Nevertheless, I will take your glove and gift. Weeping he turns, such grief his bosom fills. Descends the steps, and so the palace quits. He gets to horse and joins his men forthwith. He overtakes them all, he spurs so swift, and rides ahead, shouting aloud by fits. Paynims come on, e'en now they fly, methinks.
So you see the passion or the sympathy in Balaguer, and also there's the motivation for him. He sees Marcillian, and it really makes him angry, so he wants to go get Charlemagne. Zoe.
At the crack of dawn and daylight first draws on, the emperor calls restfully sleep anon. His wonted angels sing paragraphs from God, lifts up his hand and shines him with the cross. The king arms urge and takes off his armor, he takes his armor off, and the whole host high flies their finest fall. They get to horse and briskly ride along, through the wide plain, and up the red way long. They go to see the great and wondrous cross, as Ron said, there where the battle was.
So Charlemagne is oblivious to the presence of Balaguer and his army. So they slept in their armor because they were exhausted. The first thing they do is take their armor off. Now they're going back to Roncevaux to try to find the bodies of Roland and the other peers. You know what doff means? D-O-F-F? Yeah.
To remove.
Yes. How did you know that?
Okay. Just a genius.
Well, the reason I asked is because it used to be baseball players
Yeah, I mean,
doff their cap.
I've just seen it used in regards to, gear, apparel,
Sure.
armor.
Yeah, like men would take their hat off in a building. Men would remove their hats to this day when the national anthem is played. You doff your hat. baseball players, I don't know why football players wear helmets and basketball players don't wear hats, so it's baseball players, you see, in fact, you've seen movies where a guy's walking down the street and he touches his hat and he doesn't take it off, but he kind of lifts it or bends it a little bit. That's sort of the gesture of removing your cap in respect for a woman in that case.
Do you have to take your hat off in the presence of a woman?
What's that?
Do you have to take your hat off in the presence of a woman?
Well, things have changed, but it used to be that way. I mean, when we had those kind of etiquette, men don't wear hats anymore. Women don't wear hats. Even in churches, women will wear hats. Men wouldn't wear a hat. And some of that goes back to Paul in the Bible. But it used to be part of the etiquette. Men, except caps, baseball caps and things like that. Not a formal hat. All right, Zoe. Did you just read? Okay, sorry. That's what the dog came, and we'll go to added.
Wait, what number?
204.
Alright. To
Roncevaux.
Comes on by and by, he sees the dead and tears come to his eyes. He tells a friend, slowly sirs, pray you ride. I would go first alone with no beside, for I would fain my nephew's body find. Yonder I ate, one festal day was I, and all about me stood valiant men of mine, boasting of battles and of their fiercest fights. Roland said something which now I call to mind, that should he come in foreign lands to die, beyond them all, footmen or peers he led, and half his face turned to the enemy, fighting he fall and finished victor-led, before the rest of staffs passed, where thereby the emperor goes into a hilltop climb.
Did you notice the mirroring? We just saw Valagant crying, the leader of all Islam crying, when he saw Marsilian. And Charles, as soon as he sees the bodies of the rear guard, he cries. So you see this mirroring. Look at question 70. How does Charlemagne know where to find Roland? Like he doesn't just guess in this big battlefield with thousands and thousands of bodies. He knows where to look. How does he know where to look? Yes, hey.
It talks about one festival day was I, and bursting of battles, and the fiercest fights. He was there.
Yes. Earlier it says, Roland said something which I now call to mind. So at one point Charlemagne overheard Roland say this, that should he come in foreign lands to die, beyond them all footmen or peers he'd lie, and have his face turned to the enemy. So you remember Roland kind of boasting, if I ever die in another country in battle, I want to die on that battlefield facing the enemy. So it doesn't say anything about a hill, but that's where they look, because that's where Roland is. He's on that hill that he chose. So why don't we go to Fiona?
Is it 205?
Yes.
As the king goes his nephew forth to seek, how many flowers he finds upon his knee, red with the blood of all the chivalry. He feels such pity he cannot choose but weep, and now he reaches a place beneath 2 trees. There on 3 stones Count Roland strokes his seas, and sees his nephew stretched on the grassy green. It is no wonder if Cromwell's woes keen. Straight he dismounts and runs there on his feet. Between his hands he pouts the baron's cheeks, and swoons upon him. He is so wrung from
Not only does he cry again, but he faints. Charlemagne faints. We'll go to Hayden.
From out his foot the hunter raised his head, naming the Duke County as Song of Roland.
Geoffrey.
Henry his brother next, left the king up against a pine tree stem. He looks to earth and sees his nephew dead, and very softly thus utters his lament. God show thee mercy, Count Roland, my dear friend. So great a knight as thou was ne'er seen yet. Could under undertake great wars and win them well. Alas, my glory is sinking to its end. King Carlin swoons, he cannot help
So
himself.
he faints again. He talked to the body of Roland. What literary device is that?
Apostrophe.
Yeah. So we'll go to you, Dave.
207.
Yeah.
Carlon the king out of his swoon revives. 4 barons hold him between their hands upright. He looks to earth and sees his nephew lie. Fair is his body, but all his hue is white. His upturned eyes are shadowy with night. By faith and love, Charles mourns him on this wise. Roland, my friend, God have thy soul on high, with the bright hallows and flowers of paradise. Thy wretched lord sent thee to Spain to die. Never shall day bring comfort to my eyes. How fast must dwindle my joy now and my might. None shall I have to keep my honor bright. Methinks I've not one friend left under sky. Kinsman I have, but none that is thy like. He tears his hair with both hands for despite. By 100,000 the French for sorrow sigh. There's none of them but utters grievous cries.
All right, we'll go to Matthew.
Roland,
Try to stay with us here.
Roland, my friend of France, I go again. When I'm at Leon within my own domain, many will come of alien realm and race, asking where's he, the great Count Capitaine, and I must tell them that he lies dead in Spain. All my life long in sorrow must I reign, nor any day cease grieving and complaint.
Look at that second line. He says, when I'm at Leon, L-A-O-N. Okay, just circle that word, Lynn. We'll go to Ron.
Roland, my friend, heart valiant, goodly youth, when I'm at aches beneath my chapel roof, many will come and they will ask for news.
Just pause just a minute. He changed it the second time. Now it's at Aches. It's actually, the first one is a mistake. It should be Aches. That's where he lives, that's where his palace is, that's the capital at this time in France, not Leon. I think it says, this city was a royal seat of the later Carolingian monarchs, and as such known to the poet. He has here committed an anachronism. You ever heard that?
Mm-hmm.
An anachronism. What word in anachronism do you know?
Acronym.
It's not. No, not that word. Sounds like, but that's not the same word. Anachronism. How about chronism? Like chronology. What is chronology?
Chronology.
What is chronological order?
It's like from what am I saying?
The order in time of events. And so if it's an anachronism, it's the word A, the letter A or A-N in front of it, it's like atheistic, not in chronological order. So he's made a mistake, yeah. No, why don't we go to, yeah, front.
Roland, my friend, heart valiant, goodly youth, when I'm at aches beneath my chapel roof, many will come and they will ask for news. Then must I tell them the strange and heavy truth. That is my nephew, that all my realms subdued. Then will the Saxons rise up against my rule, Hungarians, Bulgars, and many a hostile brood, from Rhone, Palermo, Apulia to boot. The Afric bands, the Califurnian crew. Then will my troubles and toils begin anew. Where is the might that now shall lead my troops? Since he is dead, that always brought us through. Alas, fair France, how desolate are you? I am so wretched, what I had perished too. He tears his beard, that is so white of hue, tears with both hands his white hair by the roots, and of the French 100,000 men.
It doesn't ask you this question, but I want you to notice that he says, now that Roland is dead, what does, this is Charlemagne, predict is going to happen? Yeah.
France will fall by the hands of its enemies.
It will be under attack from its enemies. Remember when Beowulf died and Wiglaf predicted the same thing? He said that when a king dies, it makes the country vulnerable. And so he's predicting it. I'm gonna ask Abby to read, and then I'm gonna ask you to point it out, it's pretty obvious, where the Raposha has been in these three, 208, 209, and 210.
Will not find God in me to his rest, and set us over paradise the blessed. He that slew thee hath ruined France as well, so great my grief I would that I were dead. Three from my household thus slain my defense, not granting God that lay on Mary's breast, that ere my foot into the task he set, out of my body my spirit may be left. In place with there is a long thing to dwell, and under earth on flesh beside my flesh. He leaves for both the silver wheel he then invents, and takes these men all in the distress.
He feels so bad he wants to die. Show me where the Raposha was. Look at 208, 209, and 210.
Roland, my friend.
Each one of them begins that way.
So is that like they're talking to someone, it's like those are all apostrophes? Are they all talking to, is Roland?
If he's talking to him, yep, yeah, they would be. Yeah, yeah.
There's, many will,
Hey, guys, try to stay with us. Yeah.
many will come on 208 and 209. Like, many will come of alien realm and
Yes.
race, or many will come. and
Very
they will
good.
produce.
Yeah. Good job. We go to Matthew 2:11.
Alright, Geoffrey D. Anjo then spake, Lord Emperor, pray you be calm and sorrow not so sore. How the field search for all our men and lords, whom those of Spain to death in battle brought. And in one grave let them be buried all. The king replies, I will. Go sound your horn.
Look at, let's see, 272. This doesn't really answer 72. 72 asks, how do they bury Roland? They hadn't found Roland yet. But how are they gonna bury everybody else?
Properly?
In one hole.
In one big mass grave. You go to most battlefields, depending on the circumstances, they don't have time to bury them individually. You can't leave them out. So you just bury them in one mass grave. That's, I know at Bentonville, North Carolina, I've been there one time, there's a marker marking this space in the battlefield where, I guess one side or the other, the Confederate and Union troops were buried, so. And that means you don't really know who's in there. You know, they're almost like unknown soldiers, like in Washington. Yeah.
Can I go use the bathroom and read them all?
Yeah, hang on just a minute. Let's try to get through this, guys. Y'all can manage 10 minutes for that. Go ahead, Tim.
Charles has Roland prepared for burial rites, with Bishop Turpin and Oliver besides. He had their bodies opened before his eyes, had their hearts wrapped in silken tissue fine, and placed within an urn of marble white. The barons' bodies they then take up and wind straightly.
Well, this would be wine because they're winding the shrouds around their body.
Yeah, straightly in shrouds made of a roebuck's hide, having first washed them with species and with wine. The king calls Tybalt and Jebwin to his side. Odin the Marquis and Count Milan likewise. On 3 wains place them, and you must be their guides, or each they throw a rich tall galazine.
So we can't answer 72. What is the burial ritual that they perform on Roland?
They clean him, stick him in the coffin.
That's not the total picture here, Ryan.
They cut him open, take out his heart, wrap it in silk, and then put it in a jar.
Right, so they keep his body separate from his heart. I've heard that Richard the Lionhearted is buried in 3 different places. They buried his heart in one spot, they buried his body, and then in some other aspect of him, I don't know what it is, they buried somewhere else. So 3 different places have a part of Richard. I'm gonna read just a few minutes, we don't have that much longer. All set for home now. Now they're ready to go home. They still don't know about Balagan. Balagan has several 100,000 troops chasing him. He doesn't know it yet. All set for home now stands Emperor Charles. Uh-oh, when lo, here comes the Paynham's vanward guards. What is the vanward part of the army?
Front guard.
So, the Paynhams send their guards to Charlemagne. Before them ride the envoys hurrying fast to bear the challenge of the emir they've charged. Think not, proud king, thus scatheless to depart. They say, you think you're gonna get away this easy, Charlemagne? See, elegant follows you hard. With him he brings an Arab host full large. Now shall we see if you're stout of heart. Over his beard, King Carlin's fingers pass. He doesn't even respond. He's just been told, you know, they just had this battle. They had to bury their dead. And he takes his hands and he pulls his beard like this. He doesn't even answer. He just thinks. As he remembers his loss and bitter smart, proudly he looks on all the host of France. Then loud and high he sends his voice out far. Barons of France, his response isn't to them. He doesn't even respond to these guys. He looks at his own men and says, Barons of France, to horse now and to arms. And after all they've been to, they're still not too tired or still not too unmotivated to fight. The emperor's first in arming for the field. In his bright burning, he clothes him with all speed, laces his helm, girds on his sword of steel, joyous, whose blade outshines the sun's own sheen. That would be an example of what? Hyperbole. Why don't you mark that? It's hangs on his neck his stout Viterbo shield, and takes his spear, tossing it by the beam. Then he bestrides Tinsinger, his good steed. At Marsoon ford, erstwhile he won the beast, hurling Malpalin of Narbonne from his seat. He spurs him hard, shaking the bridle free, and goes a gallop for all his men to see, calling on God and him that bears the keys. Who bears the keys of God? Well, in Scripture, one person is usually referred to. Peter. St. Peter. All right, throughout the field the French dismount straightway. 100,000 and more put on their mail. For their equipment they've all that heart could crave. Swift running steeds and weapons well arrayed. They mount and show their manage and their pace. When the time comes they mean to fight amain. Down to their helms the Ganfalons float gay. When Carlin sees how splendidly they shape, thus to Duke Naaman and Altalmi of Mason Brave, and Josran of Provence, he says his say. And such as these men, a man may well have faith. With these about one to doubt would be insane. We'll make these Arabs repent over that they overcame that ere they came. For Roland's death I think they'll dearly pay. Duke's Naaman answers, God grant it, so I pray. All right, so we're going to do some skipping here. I want you to write the word skip next to it just to save us some time. First of all, we'll skip 217, but just take note that Roland and Oliver have to be replaced. They were officers. They led units of men, so they have to replace. He does that in 217. So skip 217. And at the top of the page on 167, write these words. What follows is the right word catalog. You're going to have a catalog of the Army's columns and leaders. Now, why do epic writers like to use catalogs?
For sure, who's in the story. Or like,
There's another reason.
Gives you an idea of what's going on.
What idea is the author trying to give you?
The ranks that are in. So.
Yeah, I mean, one true that's true, but remember he's trying to give you the feeling of size and scope. If he just told you he got all his men together and there were 100,000, you'd kind of dismiss it. But if he says this guy was in charge of this unit, and then this guy was in charge of this unit, that's what he's going to be doing, and the purpose of it is in order to get the reader to feel how large this army is. So we're gonna skip 218. Tim, if you can pry your eyes away from outside for 1 second here. Skip 219. Write it down. Skip 220. Skip 221. We're just gonna skip all these on this page. 222, 223, 224, 225.
There's a question about,
I know, I'll answer it for you.
Okay.
Which one is it?
it's
73.
All right. Describe the 10 columns that comprise Charlemagne's army. Though the columns are different in many ways, what similar characteristics appears to connect them all? The 10 columns represent the different places. I'll read it to you, not the French in one column, the Germans in another column, the Franks in another column, Normans in another column, men from Brittany in another column, men from the Flemings in another column, and Frisia. So this is an international army. It represents all the different countries that Charlemagne has captured. All right, so we're gonna pick it up again in 226. We've skipped all of
You should let Tim read that one.
165, 166, 167. We'll go to, yeah.
Sorry, what did you say was the characteristic that?
It's an international army. There are different areas of his kingdom that are being used here. All right, so we're gonna go with Kimber, 226.
From Altar's force, the emperor now descends. On the green grass he kneels with bended head. Then to the sunrise he lifts his face addressed, and prays to God with heartfelt reverence. Father much true, this day may cause defend. Thou that to Jonah thy succor didst extend in the whale's belly, and safely draw him thence. And after spare the king of
Nineveh.
Nineveh. Thou that didst save thy servant Daniel from torments dire with the lion's den. And the 3 children amid the fire protect, Lord, be thy love this day my present help. And if it please thee, grant that ere this day's end, Roland my nephew may fully be avenged. His prayer is done, rising he stands erect, the sign of power he makes on brow and breast. Now to the saddle once more the king has left. Jaws ran, and Naaman, to hold his stirrup bend, he takes his shield, his sharpened spear as well. Comely his body and straight and nobly held, his face is frank, his looks are confident. Forward he rides, form in the stirrup set, to van, to rear, the braying clarions swell. Oliphant's voice sounds above the rest. The thought of Roland draws tears from all the French.
All right, I want to give you a definition. The word is parataxis. It's on one of the words at the beginning here. It's second column on the first page. Parataxis, write this definition down. All right, it's the placing together of phrases, clauses, and clauses, or clauses, without conjunction. So it's the placing together of phrases and clauses without conjunction.
Where is it?
It's 74, question number 7. I'm gonna show you where it is, but I want you to write that definition.
Paratax.
It's parataxis,
without conjunctions.
without conjunctions. Yeah. And it's, I don't know what it says, 216, you change that to 226. Question 74, you said you can find this in 216, you can't, it's in 223. So here's the example at the bottom of that speech. His face is frank, comma, his looks are confident. If you wrote that in my class, or in middle school particularly, that would be considered a run-on sentence. It's two sentences with there's a special name called comma splice. You can't divide sentences with a comma. You have to have a conjunction or a semicolon. However, good writing can maybe make use of that. That's one. And the other one is, are you getting this, Matthew? To van, to rear, the brain clarion swell. Didn't say to van and to rear. This is, again, question number 74, if anybody's out there. So that's another example of parataxis. To van, to rear, the brain clarion swell. Yes.
What was the first one again?
His face is frank, his looks are confident. And this is extra. I'm not going to charge you extra for this. So this is like bonus. His face is frank is an example of what?
Metaphor.
I couldn't hear.
Metaphor?
Not a metaphor, yeah.
Double entendre. Because, you know, his face is frank, but he is also a frank.
You could also call that a pun, P-U-N. You're right. It's very good. His face is frank. He's a Frank. He's the king of the Franks. So naturally, his face is frank. Zoe, how about 227?
Right down there, if there are fallen guys, everything's burning, he reflects his beautiful light. The love of him will turn all of you with delight. 800,000 made us be recognized. They toss the mountains, they toss the mountain heights. Into the deep borders, and they are down behind. Words from the mountain, and there in lands they hide. And walk across the Spanish countryside. And in a plain before their battle line. To
Balagan.
Balagan, the scouts return meanwhile, and born Assyrian reports thus what he finds. He has seen Parliament king in all his strife. His men are stubborn, they have no thought of flight. On yourself now, for you will have to fight. Quoth Balagan, that's brave. Have this news cried to all my kingdoms. Go sound the clarion high.
You know, Balagan even compliments Charlemagne when he hears that they've turned to fight, that he's not going to have to chase him. He makes the comment, that's brave. One interesting thing, he takes his beard and he takes it, like, apparently he would tuck it under his burney here, you know, the harbor. He would tuck it there. Often wondered, you know, football players, some of them have long hair, like braids, or a lot of them have beards, but everything's kind of contained within the helmet. But I think there's nothing illegal if you could grab somebody by their hair and pull them. You can't grab them by the neck because that's a penalty. But I've often wondered why you'd want to make sure it was tucked in. I would think so that if you're a ball carrier or whatever.
Yeah, you
that
can
somebody
There's like
grabs-
those Panthers players that have it like way down like their back.
Yeah, now a ball carrier that wouldn't be smart because they're grabbing to tackle you. Maybe if you're a lineman, it's not so bad. But this is Charlemagne tucking his beard. No, normally he tucks it in. Now he's taking it out and letting it, you know, this long. I imagine Mr. Curlot, that long beard, instead of tucking it in his shirt or something. Well, he's never done that. Abby, you can finish it up for us here. 228, and why don't between you and Freddie, if we get that far, you can read the first page and Freddie can read the second.
Although the host they beat the drums of war, their trumpets sound and the subs blow horn. To arm themselves all night between the horn, the great and man is the most of them all. He dons a
Burning.
His skirts are
Saffron. Saffron.
He's laced his helm with gentle gold sword. To his left side he's girded on his sword. In his great pride he's got a name therefore, to violent Carlon, of which he's heard men talk. It bears a title
Precious.
precious, the blade is caught. That's his war cry when there is battle toward.
escutcheon.
The boss is golden and crystal is the ore. The strap tough silk with ordered rondels wrought. Now to his hand his spear melted is brought. The shaft of it is thick as annual. The iron alone weighs a mule load or more. Now elegant mounts up on his horse.
Thank you. You can finish it.
Armful of Altrimer has stirred clops, stalwart is he, capacious in the fork, large in the ribs, lean in the flanks, and small broad is his breast and beautifully formed, his shoulders wide, his color fresh without, warlike his bearing, his fairly looks unshorn, white as a flower upon a summer's morn. His valor proved in battle over and over, were he but a Christian, God what a warrior. He spurs his stead until the bright blood runs forth and goes a gallop over a dike. He falls some 50 feet, the panions all applaud. Keep his marches low, they are right, Lord, good Lord. The Frank who seeks to match him force with force, will he or no, he is running for a fall. Carl is a fool, he ought to have withdrawn.
What's the name of Valiant Sword? Yeah, what does that make you think of? Gollum. Where do you think Tolkien got the idea?
They are
Also notice that he gets on his horse and his horse leaps up in the air. It's going to be a major battle next time. So we'll pick it up here. Good job today. I think we're in good shape to finish this pretty quickly. We'll read tomorrow morning, and Thursday I'll give you the review sheet.
That was so funny.
Someone was on a birthday party down there.
Like,
Forget I swear.
I think I told y'all about it. She was a kid and like,
Yeah, I'll see you. See you tomorrow morning. Yeah, we'll see you.
No, like, she was like up in the bushes and she was like